The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
Good evening. Welcome to our work session regarding our budget that we're deliberating on for 2018-2019. We left last night with some unfinished business, and we're going to resume this evening. So we have been given a document. Mr. Wazorko, would you like to lead off with that?
Yes, I would. And
Okay.
to start off...
Everybody has a copy of this?
Sorry.
All right.
One correction. My typing skills aren't the best, but under the workman's comp insurance, the account number should be 52498, not 55511. I just want to make sure everyone has that. It's 52498.
Okay.
After last night, I agreed to just do some research, see if we could, instead of just adding 75 for engine one, if we could somehow offset that with some reductions in other areas. Had a chance to do that. Needed some help from town manager and Rob Puden to make sure that what I was trying to do would make sense, and this is what we came up with. And essentially, I'll take the three insurance line items. There looks to be with some new information that has come in this week, I believe it came in this week. Is that it looks like we are gonna realize the savings that I've outlined in the amounts there. The best part is the Board of Ed also would get a benefit from this new information. So my proposal would reduce the Board of Ed by the amount that they would be saving with the new numbers. Obviously, we've talked about the buildings and grounds. The pickup truck, I would remove that from the capital at $26,000. And the last one is the Board of Ed budget again. Again, this is the salary. This is the $60,000, and I've subtracted the 49 that we've been talking about for a number of nights, and that's how I get 11,000 there. So when you total it up, it's 75,000. Last night seemed to be everyone was at least open to discussing it and seeing if getting more information. So that's my proposal. Specifically, we would reduce in the Department 160 insurance by 28,000. We'd reduce Department 910, the Board of Ed, by 21,000. And the Department 840 capital, we would actually increase that by 49,000, and that simply is taking the 75,000 that I would like to add for engine one and subtracting the 26,000 for the pickup truck. That's how I come to that number.
Okay. I have a question. Can you explain, either you, Chris, or Rob, what LEP insurance is? WCM anticipating is workers' comp. So what are these insurances? What's LEP mean? What does that?
Liability, automotive, and property.
And workers' comp,
And
that's
workers'
for the
comp.
town?
Yeah,
And the BOE is liability, auto, and
yes, property.
property.
Yeah, Kermit came back with, as you know, the budget that was presented by the town manager, we indicated was worst case scenario. And Kermit has come back to us in the last few days indicating that the LAP policy would be an actual 3% decrease over this year. So that's the reason for the larger decreases total for the LAP policies. And the workers' comp, they're giving us a 0. So that's all good news from the worst case scenario we presented in the town manager's budget.
Okay.
And because we're one policy, the benefit goes to both the town and Board of Education.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we also received today a memo from our fire chief. Thank you for doing that. Quite detailed and specific. So I appreciate the time you put into this. And I understand the condition of the truck, and I understand your concern going forward for some of your other apparatus that are going to have to be addressed in the very near future. I also appreciate your last paragraph, because you did consider another option to these vehicles. And actually, I thought about this last night, and I'm not fibbing. I really did think, how could we get this done? How could we do this? How could we take care of this? And you mentioned an idea, which I would like to discuss with the council, in terms of our long-term debt and doing a bonding for both of them at the same time. The reason I'm intrigued by this is a couple of reasons. First of all, these pieces of equipment are extremely expensive. When 20 years ago, replacing a fire truck, the cost of them was quite different than they are today. So those apparatus were put into our capital budget, you know, and we would go along in 3, 4, 5 years. However, the cost of them has been explosive, just as anything else in the world, insurance, healthcare. So I am intrigued by that idea. And I think that if we could give Rob some time to look at our long-term debt schedule, if we can get a number for both of those pieces of apparatus, and see if we can fit them in. We'd have to go out for a referendum, correct, to bond them? We'd have to have it voted on by people in the town. The best news about this is we have figured our long-term debt schedule, and if we do it correctly, it will not impact the mill rate over the many future years, the outlying future years. Putting things into our annual capital does impact the mill rate, because this gets figured into our annual financial plan. So I think it probably is time. These are necessary pieces of equipment. They come back to back. And maybe it's time that we consider a bonding issue for those trucks, as long as it fits into our debt schedule and it's not going to start bumping it out of place. We have other projects that we have also targeted for that debt schedule, one of which is the Wheeler School renovation. We already have some road bonding projects out, some road bonding monies out there. So it would be important for us to understand whether something like this could actually fit in there and not interfere with what our other plans are. So when I read your last paragraph, I was like, wow, that may not be a bad avenue to pursue. And so I open that up for anybody that wishes to comment.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think specifically for engine one, I wouldn't go that direction. I think, I think right now with the items you just mentioned, we also do have, I believe we are scheduled for our road bond. We're in the 4th to 5th years, I believe, with our road bond schedule. I believe, the idea was that we would try to continue to do that, bonding money, so we can address some of the roads in town that need to be fixed. The tower, I certainly could agree with. That is a larger item cost-wise. It's significantly larger than engine one. I don't know if you'd like to adjourn tonight and get that information and come back next week to discuss it and finalize the budget, or if that's something.
I think it's an idea that needs a little bit more
tonight.
Exploration, and I certainly think that we need to ask Rob and Robert Lee to look at our long-term debt to see if this is a feasible option, and to let us know if this is something that we could fit in and make sure it complies with all of our goals and objectives when it comes to managing our long-term debt. I think it might be a good solution, and I really think we should do both of them in there. Both of them will get bonded at the same time. Is the lifespan of these trucks approximately the same, or are they, one needs to replace sooner than the other? I don't really know if that would be a factor either. So
typically on the aerial devices, they rate them, they like to see them changed out 5 years sooner than a Class A pumper, just by the nature of what they do. We just put some money into the tower.
Yep.
With that being said, if we were on schedule, we probably could have avoided that, but we don't know for sure.
Okay,
It's usually 20 to 25 years is what the life expectancy in our department would be for those trucks.
okay. In regard to your other, this is all going to really depend on what we end up doing in terms of if we're going to borrow for these trucks or not. I do have some other thoughts on, I think the insurances and all of those are fine. I'm taking some reservation with the pickup truck, but that certainly can be discussed down the road. I'd like to hear if there's others that would like to pursue the possibility of having Rob research some bonding for these trucks.
Madam Chair, I definitely think it's something that we should look into and see how if we add this, the 49,000 back in to the departments, how that would affect the bottom line as well.
Yep,
And also leave the buildings and ground pickup truck in the budget.
okay.
as it
Anybody
is
else?
now. So,
Oh, sorry.
to revise, to see a revision for the department's 160 for the two insurances, and then department 910 for the insurance and the salary. Yeah, and then leave the 26,000 in for the buildings and grounds, and see how that, adding that money back in affects it, and then seeing if we can do the bonding for the trucks, and I think that's a great solution
Well,
for everybody.
if we do some bonding, we've certainly identified cost savings that I would expect would stay as, and drop to the bottom line as well.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I have a question. If we, at our next meeting, decided, yes, we want to bond this out, how long of a process is that to actually have a referendum vote?
60 days.
Okay, and then
Joe?
on top of that, and you know, I know he's not at the mic, but how long, if we ordered a engine one today, how long before we would actually see that servicing the town?
10 to 12 months.
Okay.
But even with our, our budget would not be effective until July 1, so spending couldn't happen. I don't know if you could start working on,
Our truck committee's near the end of the specification. We've been speccing it out, meeting with people in case we were able to get the truck this year. So the spec will be written shortly, so July 1 will be ready to go. You know, out to bid, if that's the way we choose to do it.
and what about the other? You haven't done anything on
The
that?
tower, we got preliminary numbers on it. Robert had asked me a couple of years ago for a table running out close to 10 years, I think. And you know, you're probably $1.25 million, $1.5 million for that
Yeah.
tower. It's a very big expense.
Okay. Okay, so, until we get that information, I would suggest we reconvene yet again to make our final decision on this, if that's okay with everybody tonight. Do I have any objections?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have an objection.
Okay, now here's, the question is, would you like to do this at our April 2nd meeting? Or would you like to do it sooner than that, which would be perhaps this coming Monday?
Well, Madam Chair, staff, I don't know how much time staff
I don't
needs
know
to,
that either, yeah.
maybe prepare something a little more definitive.
Yeah, I think Monday would be a little tight. Next Monday would be a little tight.
So could we perhaps have that ready for our April 2nd meeting? And then maybe what we can do is add a work session to our April 2nd meeting to finalize this and then go into our regular meeting?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's fine.
is that enough time for,
That's fine with me if that's.
We could do a 6, and then public hearing be a 7.
yeah,
You're really not changing the bottom line.
well, there
Under-
may be a
under the-
little cost savings that they've discovered that we
Under
might be
either
able to-
scenario, one would, you know, the scenario being presented initially would not change the bottom line. And what's being suggested now would lower the bottom line slightly.
Correct.
So, you know,
By
making that.
some dollars, not a
Yeah.
lot, but it'll be a little bit.
Right, so making either of those, I don't think are material as far as the, you know, the public hearing is on.
That was my other question regarding the public hearing. Is that enough time for us to do some of this work at the second rather, and then have our public hearing without having a problem with it?
Well, we can give you the information by then, you know,
Okay. No, I understand, but
we can give you the
here's,
information.
I'm thinking posting, and are there any notifications or other than the regular ones that we do?
No,
Okay,
no. We have to, when the council makes a decision, we have to post the budget in the newspapers. That's really when we technically have to have
Oh,
all the
okay.
numbers posted. we're not posting numbers for the
Okay,
public.
so that would be after all of this
Yes.
takes place.
Yes.
Okay.
We're providing information to the public on the website as far as the proposed budget is concerned as it stands right now. It would be nice to say, this is what the council's recommending, so they have it in advance. But I think that, you know, at the beginning of the hearing, you can say, we've made several adjustments, here's the adjustments, and then open it up for comment.
Okay.
Because I don't think, you know, somebody's gonna have to say, geez, I didn't realize that you were gonna swap, you know, the utility vehicle for engine one. I just don't think that that's gonna be a big issue for somebody who was coming to the meeting and saying, geez, you pulled a fast one on me.
Well, they have to keep up, Robert. We've been talking about this for 3 nights.
No, I'm talking about people who.
No, I know.
We're not paying attention.
I know.
Or just
I know.
getting off the website.
All right, okay, so it seems like we still have some time to take action on this. Unless anybody has anything else to offer, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks for all your time and effort. I appreciate it.